Welcome, and thank you for your interest in our presentation. My name is Diane MIZRACHI, and together with my research partner, Alicia SALAZ, we will discuss the academic reading format international study, ARFIS, from its beginning to its close, including summaries of our findings, publications, and future directions. The study was born here at ECIL, and we therefore thought ECIL was the most appropriate venue to present our bookendings of ARFIS. After casual conversations with students and a small study performed in 2009, I was surprised to learn that most of them said they preferred to read their academic texts in print rather than online. In 2014, I created and distributed a survey among undergraduates at UCLA to see if this observation was still true. The results showed that over 70% of the respondents preferred print. I presented these findings at ECIL 2014 in beautiful Dubrovnik. Afterwards, Jumana Bustani and Serap Kurbanoglu proposed we launch an international comparative study following the design of some of their earlier work, and thus ARFIS was born. We slightly revised the research questions, which became, do students prefer reading academic texts in electronic or print format? How do behaviors compare across countries? And does the language of the reading impact format preference? The language question was added because many students worldwide must read academic texts in a language that is neither their native tongue nor the language of instruction at their institution, and we wondered whether this made a difference. ARFIS team members were recruited through our personal and professional networks. 21 scholars in 19 countries began gathering data in early 2015. At ECIL 2015, we presented an ARFIS progress report and heard results from some individual countries. More research partners asked to join. At ECIL 2016, there were 5 more country reports and the first presentation of our amalgamated analysis. During a break in the conference, ARFIS team members met to discuss further directions. We decided to follow Serap's suggestion to publish our results outside of the LIS literature, preferably in a general science venue for broader readership. Alicia SALAZ was invited to join the organization team to contribute her expertise in statistical analysis and writing. More country reports were heard in ECIL 2017, and a panel presentation by some of the research team members discussing their experiences was well received. It was then we decided to close the study. At ECIL 2018, we heard the last of the country reports. Later that year, the study organizers published an article about our experiences with ARFIS and conducting an international comparative study in the journal College and Research Library News. To this date, ARFIS is the largest study on this topic. In this slide, you see a list of all the researchers who have contributed to ARFIS and their respective countries. The population of our amalgamated study included 21,266 student participants from 38 institutions in 33 countries. 69.1% of the participants were female, and 70% were between the ages of 18 and 24 years. Participants came from all levels of tertiary study, from first years through doctoral students. In our first round of analysis, we found that 54.5% of the participants were studying social sciences, 31.6% were studying sciences, and nearly 14% were in the arts and humanities fields. Unfortunately, Data for the ARFIS 2 fields of study was incomplete, so we did not proceed with that analysis. To discover whether students were print prefers or electronic prefers, we first assigned numerical representation to each response of the 12 validated Likert style statements, 1 through 5. That is, strongly disagree to strongly agree for print statements and the inverse for electronic. All student respondents received the median score of their answers. If it was 1, 1.5, or 2, they were classified as electronic prefers. Scores of 2.5, 3, or 3.5 were neutral, and scores of 4, 4.5, and 5 were designated print prefers. You can see here that the vast majority were categorized as print prefers. The next category, the next largest category, was the neutral. Regarding academic rank, we found that students at all levels, including undergraduates and postgraduates, preferred to learn from hard copies. But there is a fairly clear linear relationship showing that students of higher academic ranks are less likely to be print prefers. As we saw on the previous slide, over 70% of the total ARFIS data set were categorized as print prefers. To address our second research question regarding variations among countries, we see that majorities in all individual countries are print prefers. However, these majorities range from 54% in Iceland to 84%, 84.5% in Croatia, a difference of 30.5 percentage points. The median is 69%. Statistically speaking, however, we did not find that these country level differences to be significant in the context of our very large sample size. Country level differences may have more to do with other characteristics of the particular samples in each country, rather than anything different or unique about the country. Three questions regarding format preference and the language of the reading were included in the international survey. They were not included in the US survey. During the statistical testing for internal reliability, 2 questions from this set did not test strongly enough to be included in further analysis. Therefore, results from only 1 question were used to address research question number 3, does the language of the reading impact format preference? In this case, only 17% agreed with this statement, whereas 53% disagreed. We did find variations among countries, however. ARFIS team members have shared their experiences and findings in both local and international contexts outside of ECIL. Our 2018 article, published in PLOS One, generated interest from academics as well as commercial entities, including Google, a large European paper company, and a medical technicians training company. Naomi Barone, a renowned linguist and reading scholar from American University, has taken an active interest in ARFIS. She invited Alicia and I to participate in Media Matters, a group of international scholars she is leading who study the effects of reading in a digital environment. Barone cites ARFIS in her latest book, How We Read Now, and asked us to contribute a blurb to the book cover. Alicia and I attended the Reading in a Digital Environment conference in 2019, where we heard Anne Mangan, a leading researcher from Norway, give a featured talk. ARFIS was a central topic in this talk. After performing the quantitative analysis and producing statistical results, we wanted to dig deeper and learn more about the whys of format preference and behaviors. We analyzed English language comments provided by 325 electronic prefers and a random selection of 328 print prefers from 15 countries to address these questions. Why do students prefer to read in print or electronic? What factors affect their decisions to read in their less preferred format? and what behavioral patterns present themselves. Of the 517 relevant comments from print prefers, we found that their most common reasons were the better learning engagement and interaction, especially highlighting and notating, better learning outcomes. They felt that print is more convenient or easier to operate than electronic, and for many, it is better for their physical health, especially their eyes. Other reasons include that some enjoy the tangible experience of print, and some find print more believable. "509 comments from electronic prefers were analyzed, and we found their most common reasons for their preference were its convenience and accessibility, enhanced learning engagement features, especially the find features and online links, the environmental friendliness of electronic, the fact that it is lighter weight than books and paper, and its lower cost. A few said they learned just as well or better with electronic." So comments by print prefers reflect a high priority for learning engagement and learning outcomes. Convenience was the primary factor cited by electronic students for their preference, but they do appreciate some of the electronic learning engagement features. Age is not a factor. Our findings actually suggest that the novice students, the first and second year undergraduates, were the strongest print prefers. This study was published in College and Research Libraries in June 2020. These revelations forced us to reevaluate our perspectives. Instead of dichotomizing the issue by stating print versus electronic and print or electronic and labeling students in purely static categories, we realized that the correct issue is actually when print and when electronic. Our students may have a favorite format in general, but their behaviors and preferences vary depending on the circumstances and context of each reading event. It is also very individualized depending on preferred learning styles, personalities, motivations for learning, physical health, and socioeconomic issues. Alicia and I therefore developed the reading event analysis model to serve as a guide for analysis of a given reading event, to point to the factors that readers and educators should consider in determining whether to utilize a print or a digital format, and to have some ability to predict likely outcomes. Our model helps elucidate the facets of circumstances that matter and aid in the transferability of research findings to practical settings. So here is our reading event analysis model. On the left side, you see 3 factors: the difficulty of reading from the text, readers' objectives, and access. Each of these factors contain 2 to 4 dimensions, such as interface features, the length of the reading level, the learning goal, the cost, etc. And each dimension contains conditions at either end of a continuous spectrum, which are related to that factor. For example, if a student needs to read a long, difficult text that will be on a final exam, the probability is that they will prefer to read it in print. Whereas a student with supplementary readings that are relatively short, do not contain unfamiliar jargon, and are accessible for free on an online platform that supports mental mapping and active engagement, they'll probably want electronic. REAM is based on 3 theories used frequently in education: Ziff's principle of least effort, Sweller's cognitive load theory, and Martin and Salio's students' approaches to learning. Several entities can control the conditions in our model: interface designers and engineers, educators in the classroom, institutional and policy and practice deciders, and deciders of national regulatory and economic policy. And in our model, we note the various dimensions that can be influenced by these entities, by their icons. Our article about REAM was recently published in the Journal of Documentation. Alicia, Jane Secker of the United Kingdom, and I, in consultation with Professor Naomi Barone, are currently working on a new study to measure format attitudes during the COVID restrictions. Our survey is based on ARFIS, and we will be able to compare the results between the two populations and conditions. Nearly 600 students from UCLA and institutions in the UK responded to our survey during the spring of 2021. The data is currently under analysis. According to Google Scholar, as of June 2021, we have 11 ARFIS project publications, 23 ARFIS country reports, and 23 non-ARFIS studies which either cite or are related to ARFIS. And we have one more article in which we present the results from the second round of ARFIS and the completed amalgamated results that has been accepted for publication by Reference Services Review, and we look forward to seeing that soon. So thank you, ECIL. The ECIL Forum has been the medium to bring together all these collaborators over the year. The sine qua non certainly speaks to the value of these professional engagements. Alicia and I hope this presentation has been enlightening, and we look forward to addressing any of your questions or comments.